This video is brought to you by my patrons. Last summer, right before I left for college, I didn't really get out much. Partially because of the Texas heat, partially because I wasn't able to get vaccinated yet and I am really high risk, and partially because I just kept managing to get sick. So, as one does with all of that time, I found myself playing a lot of video games. I've been able to experience a ton of stories I never had the time for before, from Half-Life to Florence, and I've truly enjoyed everything I've played. But even more often than those new stories, I found myself turning somewhere I never expected to. I've been playing a really weird amount of Fruit Ninja. Like, I haven't cared about Fruit Ninja this much since the first grade, and I certainly never had this much fun with it. But I haven't even been playing the original mobile game of Fruit Ninja. The app's been sitting abandoned on my phone since the 7th grade. Not deleted, but never opened. Like a box gently tucked away in the attic. Important enough to keep, but never to check on. No, I haven't been playing Fruit Ninja, you see. I've been playing Fruit Ninja in VR. My family has an Oculus Quest 2. Yes, I'm aware that it's called Meta, but honestly, I think that is the dumbest thing since Dougal, so I'm gonna live in blissful ignorance and keep calling it Oculus. When I was living with my family before I moved to college, I spent most of my summer playing Fruit Ninja on the Oculus. This isn't to say we didn't have any genuinely good VR games, we had some of the best. Superhot VR, Beat Saber, even Half-Life Alyx. And yet, despite all of these good games, I spent 4 whole months on Fruit Ninja. And I think that says a lot about the overall quality of the VR version of the game. Fruit Ninja is a game I first discovered on an iPod Touch in my 1st grade classroom after getting my work done early one day. And it was fun! It was fairly simplistic, but required enough skill and technique to make me feel smart. I liked slicing the fruit and dodging the bombs. I experimented with every different game mode. I played Zen, arcade, multiplayer, and before long, I had the high scores for every category in my classroom. It was a game I couldn't put down, a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a game that made my dumb little 6-year-old brain feel like the greatest gamer of all time, and those high scores really did go to my head. For that entire school year, Fruit Ninja was my life. And then summer came, and I just kind of forgot about it. In years after, I'd still play it on occasion. When I got my first phone in the 7th grade, it was the first game I downloaded, and I played it for about a week before forgetting about it again. Fruit Ninja isn't really a special game. It's fun, it kills some time, it's good if you're stuck in a waiting room or something, but you'll never hear someone list Fruit Ninja in their favorite games. It's not brought up in conversation aside from reminiscing on childhood. No one ever revisits Fruit Ninja. But eventually, I'd run out of games that I already owned to play, and I turned to VR. I played amazing game after amazing game, and slowly started to run out of things to do again. I tried playing the challenge modes of Superhot, I explored all of Oculus and Meta's different VR experiences, I got bored enough to just watch YouTube videos, and eventually bored enough to get really into VR fishing. And finally, I picked up Fruit Ninja VR. From the second I booted up the game, I felt odd. It was familiar, sure, a world from my childhood reconstructed completely, but it was also so real. I could see the game option fruits in front of me, reach out and touch them with my hands, not just a swipe on a screen. I had swords, physical swords to slash with, and more importantly than ever, the game was challenging. Regular Fruit Ninja is not a hard game. It can be frustrating, but it's not hard. After being in rhythm for a while, you'll hit a few too many bombs or drop a few too many fruits, but it isn't hard to do good in Fruit Ninja. In fact, part of why it's so frustrating to die is that Fruit Ninja is such an easy game, to the point that the majority of deaths you'll experience will be due to small, careless mistakes. It's not hard or challenging, it's just annoying. But Fruit Ninja VR is different. Instead of the cold mechanical swipes of my imaginary blades in the original game, now I can see my hands, and I can grip swords in them. And playing on Oculus, due to the nature of the controllers, it feels like I'm actually holding swords. It isn't as easy as just swiping my hand all over the screen when I get bored now. I have to actually try to be good at Fruit Ninja of all things. In Fruit Ninja VR, all of a sudden there's a challenge to things. For starters, these little robots will come at you and shoot fruit from all directions, and you have to be able to get all the fruit and miss the bombs, while fruit is coming at you from multiple spots. Then I have to use my own hands to swing the swords at that fruit, and there's a lot of small micro actions that could go wrong here. I could be standing too far away, or I could accidentally tilt my sword and bounce the fruit away. Hell, sometimes you'll turn the sword right, thinking you're about to slice it, and the fruit will bounce suddenly because of a tiny shift in your movement. Suddenly, I have to actually consciously be aware of what I'm doing. I have to make sure I'm standing close enough, I'm holding my swords right, I'm slicing the fruit properly, I'm hitting all the fruit, I'm dodging the bombs, I'm keeping track of the robot's positioning and how many of them there are. And there are so many small, tiny actions I have to take and be aware of just to play a game where you slice fruit. It's far more intimate, far more real. No longer am I relying on the precision of my fingers. The game is susceptible to every possible human failure that I can make. It's stupid to say this about a game that literally has virtual reality in its title, but it's real. It's me playing the game, me as a person, with every quirk and insecurity and imperfection of my existence. If I play for too long, my hand may cramp from the controller, and that affects my game. When I was 12, I sprained my wrist, and now it still aches sharply when the weather changes, and suddenly that affects my game. I don't always have enough space to play in, I'll bump things or not be able to move very much, and that affects my game. Every aspect of who I am as a person and what I've been through, and the environment I exist in affects how I play and how the game functions, and it makes it both more immersive and more human. When I moved to college, I no longer had access to a VR headset, and suddenly, I found myself with nothing to scratch this Fruit Ninja itch that I'd been left with. So finally, I reopened Fruit Ninja on my phone. Not right away, of course, I had to sit and wait for a lot of very long updates first, but I did eventually open Fruit Ninja, and I don't know if I can play it anymore. Gone was the intricacy, the humanity. My body, my personality, my environment had no bearing on this world. The game's soul was lost. There were no swords, no awareness of my surroundings or the in-game world. It was just me and my phone, slicing fruits. Sure, I was way better at the game, but is that what I wanted? Jacob Geller, my personal favorite video essayist at the moment, has done 2 beautifully executed videos that tackle similar topics. The intimacy of everyday objects and the real villain of Resident Evil 4 VR is Meta. They're very well done and amazing, and you should totally check them out. But in those videos, he discusses the way that VR often relies on different quirks of each individual player in a way most games are incapable of. In Half-Life Alyx, the mere act of having hands makes the environment more complex and engaging. You have to rely on your ability to exist in this space, and more so than that, to be competent in it, to not knock over bottles and alert a monster to your location, to grab things with your own hands, to slosh around what seems like real liquid in a real bottle, and imagine a world where life is so intimate. In Resident Evil 4 VR, the fact that he's right-handed but left-eyed affects where he stores his guns, how he aims, the fabric of how he plays, and the reality of the game itself. The same way my environment and who I am as a person affects my experience with Fruit fucking Ninja. Fruit Ninja VR isn't the first reimagining of Fruit Ninja to exist. In 2011, Half-Brick launched Fruit Ninja Connect for the Xbox 360. The Xbox Connect was a really interesting piece of technology, right in the middle of the race for the best motion controls gimmick console. The Wii wins, of course, though PlayStation Move holds a special place in my heart. In an era of various motion control games, there wasn't really anything special about the Connect. With the Wii, and to some extent the PlayStation Move, they did rely on motion controls as a gimmick, but they didn't feel gimmicky. They shaped how you played the game and helped immerse you deeper into it. Sure, there are some games where motion controls feel out of place, but overall, the motion controls are just there to shape your interactions. They can make a gameplay better, but if they're doing their job, you don't really notice that that's what they're doing. The Kinect was not quite like that. Most of the games on there just existed to show off its capabilities. Basically just to say, hey look, we've got motion controls too! There's very little special about the way Kinect games play, but there is something interesting about it. Unlike virtually every other console at the time, the Kinect didn't use any form of controller. Instead, you set up a camera that doubles as a motion sensor, and after calibration, it tracks your movements and places you into the game. Gimmicky, sure, but definitely unique. Fruit Ninja Kinect is a game that should function very similarly to Fruit Ninja VR, but instead is an example of just exactly what not to do. There's no immersive interface, no swords, no different world. It's just Fruit Ninja. You stand in front of the same basic background as the mobile version and play the exact same way. The only difference is that instead of swiping on a screen, you flail your arms around and the Kinect translates that motion into a swipe. For a game built to be adapted into motion controls, it's shockingly static. It is the same game, the exact same way, with very minor changes at best. It only uses motion controls to convince you to pay money for another version of the same game you already have for free. Fruit Ninja VR is very distinctly not that. It's so much more than just a port and adaptation. It's an entirely new experience. The same mechanics, but almost an entirely different game. There's something special about Fruit Ninja VR. Something that makes me want to play it more often than Beat Saber or Super Hot or Hitman. Fruit Ninja takes what is a primarily simple, bland experience and makes it more. The simple interface of me and my phone is gone, and I'm in a whole new world. Not just because it's in virtual reality. The game, from the ground up, is constructed in a way that makes it impossible to not take into account the differences between each player. The play environment, even the abilities of the player's body. It is intricate and human and real, not because of the fake environment, but the reality behind it, the real life behind the screen. Virtual reality is constantly changing, and quite a bit of that is scary. Meta currently has a huge monopoly on the industry as a whole, and with that comes this strange blend of what is business and what is personal. For $1,500, you can buy a Quest virtual reality headset specifically designed for work, the Meta Quest Pro, built from the ground up with business in mind. Walmart is developing an app that you can use to shop from the comfort of your home, while also physically being in a Walmart. Everywhere we turn, corporations are commodifying art for more labor, trying to make us more efficient, more machine-like, laying off as many people as possible in exchange for extra labor, even from the comforts of our home. Less human, more worker drones. We are the product that Meta is selling. But within all of that, this sea of strange surrealities, is games like this. Fruit Ninja is a simple game that is maybe the easiest to play ever. Literally, all you have to do is swipe your fingers to hit fruits and make sure you don't hit bombs. But somewhere, somehow, in the process of translating this game into VR, we got something that's exactly the same, yet also somehow completely different. A game far more complex and unique and human. I live for moments like these. Reimaginings of art that not only respect the source material, but find inventive and faithful ways to reinvent it completely. Fruit Ninja is a better game in VR. It's also a completely different game in VR, though it's very similar. But in creating this version of the game, the devs completely reimagined what it means to be a Fruit Ninja. And no matter how scary or nuanced or complicated it all is, I'm excited for the future of VR games.